Hi, Sagittarius. All right, welcome to this session. So, we're going to be talking about 2025 until 2027 in relation to Saturn. We will be looking from a sidereal perspective, but even if you follow tropical, I feel like this will give you some information. You may look at this from your ascendant, sun, and moon will be the strongest. If you want to look from another placement, you have free will. So, Saturn and Pisces, that's what's in the sky, that's what we'll be discussing. For you, this is your fourth house. This is naturally a square to you, but it actually has a nice aspect, like an easy aspect from like to the ascendant. So what are we talking about? Your bad dreams, if you've been dreaming hard dreams, they may get better. Saturn may actually come in to block them. Now, what is Saturn for those of you who are learning? Saturn is about discipline and fixing things, restructuring things, tradition, work, resourcefulness, sometimes sacrifice, sometimes the death of things. But with all death, he brings life. So actually, Saturn in the fourth, this transit for you, if it starts to feel too heavy at home or too restrictive, too cold, the western room, if you have a room in the west, it's going to feel really cold. The house itself may be hard. I don't know if some of you just live in an older house. It may be one of those things where it's like, okay, it's really cold in here. I'm going to insulate better. I'm going to get better drapes. You may want to make it darker. You may want to pull the blinds. But you're going to feel whatever's uncomfortable in the house. And now if there's some things about that, say you're renting, you can't do anything about it, the structure of it, right? Then what you want is you put, and this helps even if you do, but putting house plants in your house, very helpful, Saturn in the fourth. You bring life into the home, and Pisces, you water it. So actually, plants that are jades may do the best for you, or at very least, that'll be something that maybe you want to test. Saturn and Pisces to me is like a cactus, a jade plant, a succulent. It's something that, again, it holds its own water. It can take care of itself. So this could also be where some of you, your parents are older, and maybe now you need to take care of your parents, or it could be kind of a different stage of life. Oh, now my children are grown. I am no longer a parent. They've now become an adult, and now I get to turn their spare room into whatever, right? Sometimes Saturn in the fourth to me can also be, the way I'm seeing it is like making space for grandchildren, perhaps, depending on where you're at with that. Now, pardon me. If you have any planets in Pisces, as Saturn approaches those planets, say you have a planet, say you have Mercury in Pisces in the early degrees. As Saturn begins this transit in March 2025, and that's until June 2027, 2 years, 3 months, it will create stress as it goes towards that. And again, the planet that it's touching, the star that's touching, is going to be expressive of it. Maybe it's Mercury is your mind, or the moon, it's emotionally. Venus, it's about money, or about your looks, or what have you. Your partner, who you love. But as it leaves, it actually gives a gift. So the stresses that you feel will be worth it. Although at times, and I think this depends, like for instance, if you didn't have any planets in Pisces, then we'll leave it like that. If you don't have any planets in Pisces, then this is going to be a little bit easier, right? The ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. The ruler of Sag rising is Jupiter. Jupiter will be in Gemini. So there's kind of this blessing that's going to come through other people. And maybe if you feel stuck at home for some reason, this is where you're supposed to go out and socialize more with other people, because there's going to be other people that's coming into your life or that want to talk to you. You know, maybe some of you, you're making the home more invitable. Well, I guess we kind of said that, for others to be there, right? Pisces to me is representational in a way of family. It could just be soul family, doesn't have to be related. I would definitely, you'll probably have to fix some kind of plumbing. If you own a house or if you're renting, that'll be an issue. It's like something will happen with the water that you'll have to fix. It might be a new hot water tank. You may need a new faucet, or you notice something that's leaking. But if you catch it right away, if you catch it early, it's not that big a deal. It could be, some of you might need a new washing machine, things like that. Vesta is, so Saturn is also our, I don't know if we said this, but like our dedication and devotion to things. So this could be being very dedicated to family. This is, again, blood family, soul family. This is also to your ancestors. Fourth house is again, our lineage in a way. And with Saturn there, I guess this has been coming through, and I don't know if this is because we're now at the ages that we're at, but it's like, it could be where a parent passes or a parent becomes ill, or they need some kind of help. Let's see. Now, this dedication and devotion is also Vesta energy, Vesta. She's a star in your map. I highly suggest looking into her. She's a group, basically it's this garden. It's primarily women, a circle of women, and then there are a few significant men, and we tend the fire. And you have that going through most of 2025 until September. Vesta will be in your 12th house in Scorpio. So to me, this is a sauna. Like, that could be a way that you could relax. Some of you actually, you may, depending, oh, I didn't even see that, cool. Some of you, one of the things that you could do to improve the home is also, in relation to the water in the houses, maybe you end up deciding that you want a sauna. You want to build a sauna, or you want to it's interesting that we would expand on the bathroom, because Saturn is usually less is more. But this is just making sure that everything is comfortable. Making sure someone's comfortable. So some of you are death doulas, or you work in hospice, or there's something about that too. Actually, some of you are really good at that, and you don't even know that that's something that you could do. I don't know if that's I don't feel like that would be a full-time job necessarily. It's showing me more of, especially someone who's more at like retirement age, or again, your kids are grown. It's that kind of energy. Some of you actually may be really good at that, or you've just had to deal with that a lot. So it comes natural to you. Let's see. Now, the collective reading told us that Taurus, which is your 6th house, the Venus of Taurus, could be Libra too. The Venus in our map, that's the point, is what we're supposed to go towards, versus the Mercury of Gemini. Let's try to explain this differently. Venus is about dedication and devotion, marriage. Saturn is about dedication, devotion, marriage. Vesta is about dedication, devotion, and marriage. So you're receiving the information. That's cool, because you love to learn. You're receiving the information here that those 3 things in our map thanks for sharing, are all highlighted, and we should watch the transits of them Vesta works in 9-month cycles. Venus, once June comes around, will start going month to month. It moves into a new sign, averagely speaking. So we're supposed to look at what we're dedicated and devoted to, because we're also thinking long term. Saturn in the fourth is also thinking about retirement. It could be thinking about property. It could be Mars is in Cancer, which is in your 8th house. In its fall, so I'd wait a while. If some of you are like right now, you're like, should I buy right now, like the beginning of this transit, then I mean, do what you will, but I see that I would wait. I would wait because of Mars actually rules over land and buildings and things, and property. So it being in its fall and it's in the 8th house, there would be something hidden about it that you didn't know, and that would be like you buy a house and then like the pipes explode. You know what I mean? Or like the hot water tank breaks, the washing machine breaks. Like everything would break if you invested more than you need to. It's like you already have what you need. And I would say most of you are not going to move house for the next 2 years either, if you are considering that. But the property, I guess, doesn't, you don't have to live in it. But it's one of those kinds of things, because this is also Saturn's thinking about the big picture, and 4th house is the end of life. So this may just be like, I'm going to write, what are my last rites? And this could also be where a family member is also sharing this with you. Maybe they're like giving you the will, or they're telling you that you know, some of you are like a death doula or an actual minister, where you can like, what do they call it? Like in a hospital, when you, that particular, does it start with a C? Not clergy. Anyway, this could also be like I'm seeing a lot of people that already own a house, but it's like I'm seeing someone put gutters on a house, so like the water doesn't, pour down over hit the wood of the steps and like rot it away. It's like, all right, I know this drips here. I've been seeing it for a while. It's happening this way. It goes this way. Well, I'm going to divert that water. And put it over here and put it in this bucket, this barrel, and then this barrel is what I water the plants with. It's like practical like that, like, because it's already happening, right? The water sheds off the roof. It's like, how can I direct this so I know, so that it can help me and it's easier and it's not destroying anything by just leaving it alone, right? Because it could be one of those things like, it's just happening, I'm just going to leave it. But it's almost like this, if you do that, then the stairs rot, then the siding starts to rot, and it's like up underneath the clapboards, and it's all this. Don't let something go too far if you sense that something's off. Okay, interesting. Somebody you know could also be going through a divorce right now. Some of you could also be dating 2 people. Do you know any twins? Let me see. Did we mention that so Saturn rules over Capricorn and Aquarius, right? And now it's in Pisces. So Sag rising specifically, your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th house are highlighted. So that bigger part of the map is very significant. So we're talking about your resources and how you communicate, what you value. This is about learning, and again, another house of communication. And then we have the 4th house of home and our roots. And to me, this is also the house of feeling. It's the house of the moon. So it also is wanting the house of comfort. Some of you have, I see a Pisces. Actually, I guess all of you have this, even if you don't know about it. Like maybe it's farther down the line, but all of you have a Pisces ancestor that is around you, is even protecting you. If you do have an altar at home, I feel like you'd want to have water in that. Like put water in a vessel. I'm seeing like a flower floating in it. Seems more Hindu in my mind, but it just might be because I enjoy that. Although I don't have one specifically, but I enjoy that. So squares create a discipline, right? It disciplines something. It's like creative tension, you know, and that's why we have to discipline. And Saturn wants you, he also represents discipline, which basically is self-control, right? And in using wisdom. So home may be a place where it's either going to feel really comfortable or really restrictive. I guess we went over the remedy about the plants. If you can't move or aren't moving, if you don't live somewhere, you're just renting, I wouldn't put a bunch of money into it. I would be saving money for a home or for retirement. Some of you may not be at home also because you're working so much. And if you are home, it's about is it fixing things? Making a spiritual space in the home too could also be good. I mean, you can pray anywhere, but maybe this would be nice to like have some sort of structure around you or spiritual space, particularly in your home, right? For some people, it might be they find the structure of the spiritual space, say, in like that connectivity of a group. Maybe, for instance, like here, say it's in the 11th house, it might be like, oh, okay, we're talking through the internet on Patreon, part of this group, right? But this particularly is suggesting Sag Rising to also have this a little bit in your home. I would say take care of your feet, Pisces, Saturn and Pisces. Take care of your feet. I'd say a person here would give themselves a pedicure versus like going out and having someone pay for someone to do it. This is also a combination of being self-sacrificing, meaning giving to those who are in need, right? Pisces is about giving, and Saturn is those in need. So widows, orphans, those without a home, basic things, people that really, really need. If you can help that in any kind of way, please do. I mean, some of you, there's a homeless person that lives around you, right? It's like maybe you give them a can of food or a nice wool blanket or something, you know, something. Even if it's something they don't need, maybe they can trade it. I don't know. I mean, it could be money specifically, but you give what you will. Those of you that are young enough, you could technically get pregnant like out of nowhere, even if you're a little later in life, Sag Rising. Like all of a sudden you're like, wait, what? I'm pregnant? Like I thought I was done having a family. Or you might have said, say you're married and it's like, okay, we're married, we're good. We've already talked about it, do one more kids. And it's like, no, we're good. And it's like God gives you a baby. God just gives you a baby. And it's like, whoa, what? Which I guess could be a little frustrating or a little bit of a hard corner for some of you. And I guess if that's the case, well, I mean, I heard, remember, that's a gift from God. And, you know, I think all parents, maybe I'm being presumptuous, but I feel like all parents, when they realize that they're pregnant, somebody in that equation is like, fuck, you know, scared, basically, and realizes the brevity of it, the gravity of it. And if every parent was like, fuck that, too stressful, then none of us would be here. So, you know, I used to have different opinions, but at this point, I am, I'm picturing like Mother Teresa, right? She was actually, wasn't she like, not, and I don't like the word anti, whatever, this and that. She kind of preached against, at times, like her opinion was like preaching against birth control, because she believed that every life was sacred and a blessing. It's a gift of, you know, we're all a child of God. And I can understand that latter part. I can totally understand it, because I'm so grateful you're here, right? So if this isn't you, this could be your child. Like all of a sudden, like they're like, oh, we're pregnant again, Grammy. You know, like that could happen too, out of nowhere. I'd hope that they were friends first. You know. Okay. We're serious about it, because that's an important thing. Family would definitely become very serious in the fourth house. You have all your generational energy right now under the horizon too. So you're working that through your moon space. You know, Pluto in your second, Neptune in your fourth, Uranus in your fifth. That's some pretty big stuff. So I heard, remember, that they're here for you too. And they also protect you when you sleep. Maybe that goes back into that better, you know, if you've been having like hard dreams. Sometimes the fourth house can also represent digestion. Virgo is the intestines opposing this energy. So if it might be hard to digest certain things. Like maybe your diet kind of changes in a way. You know, maybe some of you are like, I don't want to eat seafood anymore. Or like, I don't, maybe all of a sudden you like things that are a lot drier. Or maybe you want to, I don't know how to explain it. Something might just happen with the habits of food too. This is also the house of farming, which Mars is trining this energy too. So I don't know if some of you are involved in like gardening or a community garden. That could also be where there are plants. Saturn and Pisces in the house of farming again, or gardening, is also suggesting that we grow plants that naturally grow in that environment, or at very least can hold their own water, right? Most plants that hold their own water grow in a place that's very dry. If you happen to live in a place, Pisces, that's very wet or moist, humid, then you wouldn't want plants that can hold too much water, because then it's going to rot, right? It's like, again, growing it in the right environment. I'm seeing a little market by water. As this is also the deep-seated kind of subconscious place, although 8th house is technically, they say subconscious, 12th house unconscious. Because 4th house is ruled by the moon, it's still subconscious, you know, it's beneath the horizon. So with Saturn there, the personal roots in relation to like your brain roots, you know, maybe something was just really dry or needed to be repotted. And some of you may decide on this where you're like, all right, I know I'm going to move in the next few years. You know, I know I'm going to move house. Even if you've lived somewhere for like 30 years, you could be like, next, you know, when this, for instance, say when this transit's done, like I'm ready, I know I'm going to make the right decision, because it might be a little risky right now, right? Because actually, although real estate is a good investment for the next couple years, I think it always is, but the prices of houses, according to my study and what I've been researching, are probably going to continue. It's going to go up or continue to stay kind of where it's at. But eventually that will drop, because we're going to repeat again. We always come into these cycles like we have before, and that'll be more in relation to when the South Node goes into Leo, because that's going to be taking away people's egos. You know, people, think about it. Only a person with a huge ego would be like, everyone else is saying their house is worth 400,000. I'm going to make mine 400,000. When you bought it, you bought it for 50, and really it's like shit soil. Like, it's only a greedy person would be that prideful to that arrogant to charge that much money when they know it's not worth it. You know what I mean? So anybody, again, with these egos, like mortgage brokers, like for instance, when the last time the South Node was in Leo was 2006 during the housing market crash. And everyone was trying to refinance, and a lot of people were getting really ripped off, which they're already getting ripped off when they're charging as much as they do for what they're charging, because again, it's not worth that. I don't care what they say. It's not worth that. So, and just the way that we're talking, I feel like this is how a person is aware of it. They're conscious of, like, again, what is, you already went over 4 years ago, and that might be something to look at. Is like, what is valuable to you? What are things, what is it worth to you? Right? I mean, one man's trash is another man's treasure. What is it worth to you? What value do you put in it? I would definitely say less is more in general with Saturn, but particularly in the 4th house could be like, I don't need this stuff. It could be like really old stuff. Say you get a garage and it's just full, or like an attic full of stuff you haven't touched, maybe things from 10, 20, 30 years ago. It could even be family things. It's just putting things in the right places and realizing what's too heavy, Like Sometimes it's nice to have, for instance, your ancestors about, but remember, you don't want to put them in your bedroom. You put ancestors in the community room, in the living room. Right? In the living room, we put our dead ancestors. Not in the bedroom. Right? It's too hot in the kitchen. It's too wet in the bathroom. Because that's how we keep the balance. Okay. Interesting. I'm going to say that's that. Oh, one last thing. Other people will really be, there will be lucky people that come to you, or people that bring you good luck, good news. Friendly people. They want to talk to you. All right. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any, and there's a bunch of smart people here. Somebody will answer. And share your thoughts if you want. I hope this was helpful. Take care. Peace.